Hi, my name's Matt.
And I'm Tyrica.
We're the Kaprals, and we're here to bring you the miracles in the Mayhem message. What we're going to be looking at primarily is 1 Kings 19 and some of the events surrounding that. At this point in Israel's history, much of Israel, as well as multiple generations of kings, have essentially fallen away. They are worshiping foreign false gods. The current king, King Ahab, and his wife, a Canaanite by the name of Jezebel, someone who you're probably familiar with, they have led much of Israel not only to worship these other gods, but to also kill many of the other prophets of the God of Israel. And that's what we're going to be looking at tonight, as well as many of the miracles that are going on at this point. The prophet Elijah has had enough. He's decided to take a stand against the prophets of Baal and against Baal worship in Israel. So he's made a wager with them. He says that if God answers my prayer and burns up the sacrifice that I put out, then he is God and the people will follow him. But if it's the other way around, then the people will follow Baal. And at this point in time, that is when God answers Elijah's prayer, sends an incredible sign, and then other things happen after that, and things sort of take a little bit of a turn. Whereas you would expect Elijah to be doing well, both emotionally and spiritually, but instead we see something very, very different in 1 Kings 19.
All right, so after God proves himself to be the only God, Jezebel doesn't take kindly to that. And this is what we read in chapter 19. Now Ahab told Jezebel everything Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with a sword. So Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah to say, "May the gods deal with me, be it ever so severely, if by this time tomorrow I do not make your life like that of one of them." Elijah was afraid and ran for his life. When he came to Beersheba in Judah, he left his servant there, while he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness. He came to a broom bush, sat down under it, and prayed that he might die. "I have had enough, Lord," he said. "Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors." Then he lay down under the bush and fell asleep. All at once an angel touched him and said, "Get up and eat." He looked around, and there by his head was some bread baked over hot coals and a jar of water. He ate and drank and then lay down again. The angel of the Lord came back a second time and touched him and said, "Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you." So he got up and ate and drank. Strengthened by that food, he traveled 40 days and 40 nights until he reached Horeb, the mountain of God. There he went into a cave and spent the night. And the word of the Lord came to Elijah. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He replied, "I have been very zealous for the Lord God Almighty. The Israelites have rejected your covenant, torn down your altars, and put your prophets to death with the sword. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too." The Lord said, "Go out and stand out on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. I love this miracle because it's simple compared to a lot of the other miracles that Elijah witnessed and performed himself. It just shows how patient and tender and compassionate God is. He doesn't respond to Elijah's faithlessness with anger. He responds with an angel caring for him. And like Elijah, I can be zealous for God and for his kingdom and yet focus on circumstances and the responses of other people, which leads me to be discouraged and feel hopeless and like giving up. And God has responded by giving me his Holy Spirit, giving me strength and spiritual nourishment. And he responds to me in a gentle whisper, not rock-shattering winds or an earthquake or fiery wrath. And he reminds me that I'm not alone, that there are many faithful out there. And later on in this passage, he tells Elijah that there are 7,000 faithful Israelites. And 7,000 represents perfection in the number 7. And plenty and thousands. And I'm really encouraged by that knowledge that I might not be able to see what's happening. I might not be able to see the fruit out there, but they exist. I'm not alone, and I'm really encouraged by this miracle and God's love.
One of the other things that we can also take to heart is being able to reflect on the incredible miracles that have happened in our lives. While we may be in the thick of it in the moment, we always need to keep on looking back to recall what God has already done, not just in what we get to read in the Bible. Those are incredibly helpful, but for what's already happened in our own lives and in the lives of others that we're close to, because God has worked before and he's going to keep on working.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, please continue to remember all the amazing miracles that God is going to keep on doing with you and keep on doing with all of us, no matter what's going on.